I became self-employed at 19, and let me tell you a lot of things that people don't talk about, a lot of myths that people do talk about. I'm about to debunk a lot of these things because when I was 15, I thought I was going to be a millionaire at 18, and I'm 20 now. I'm not a millionaire, but I am self-employed, so that's got to count for something. I am shy. I am currently a calisthenics coach. I do that full time. I work from wherever I want to because I'm remote. And I'm about to tell you a bunch of things that might explode your brain on everything that you thought self employment was supposed to look like because they told you it was supposed to look like that. This video, I'm going to do my best not to have any cuts in it because I want this channel, which is eventually going to be a podcast, to feel like we're just talking and that I'm just telling you stories and giving you life advice because I really wish that I had someone tell me this stuff when I was younger because it wouldn't have just saved me time, it would have saved me stress. I think the first thing that people have the wrong idea about is that you have to wake up early. Rich people don't wake up early. Most rich people do not wake up at 5 a.m. You're probably just seeing a handful of influencers. Okay, maybe more than a handful because there's a lot of people that wake up early. Being disciplined and forcing yourself to wake up at 5 a.m. isn't what's going to make you money. It's just the work that you do. And if you're robbing yourself the energy that you need to do that work and fulfill on the things that you plan to do, you can't do it to the full extent you would like to because you're so tired, you're half falling asleep when you get to work. It doesn't make sense. A lot of people will also argue that if you wake up early, that you have more time in the day. And this is completely true. But what if what you need isn't more time? What if you also need more energy? And in order to get more energy, you need to be able to rest and work another day. You can't do everything in the same day all the time. Every day can't be completely jam-packed with productivity because you and your creative energy, at least, cannot be running 24/7. So sure, you could wake up at 5 a.m. every day and work all the way until 12, but the quality of your work is probably going to go down a little bit. Everyone knows that flow state doesn't happen whenever you are forcing work to happen. Oh, this next point is really good because I just experienced it. So whenever you make your first 10K, there's gonna be people, not even you necessarily, it's probably gonna be other people who are telling you that you need to make 30K, you need to make 50K, that if you're making 10K, then you should not be the same person that was okay with just making $10,000 a month. Can you listen to yourself for a second? $10,000 a month was once the thing that was supposedly going to solve all of your problems, and you think you should keep going up, making more money. I get it that you should always be working towards a greater goal, but I want to propose an idea. What if you don't work vertically? What if you work laterally? What if you start doing the things you said you were going to do once you start making that money, just enough money? Because I know $10,000, once you get there, you start to realize that one, most of it's not actually liquid and you have to put it back into the business, but two, you wanted to do things with that money. The reason you wanted that money was so that you could do other things with it, not just so you could make more money and have a bigger dollar amount in your bank account. Whenever you finally hit that number amount where you can finally at least start doing the things you said you wanted to do, and I don't mean the huge vacations and, I don't know, yacht parties, whatever people want to do when they get rich. I mean the little things. When you said that you wanted to finally buy yourself a treat at the store because you have always been frugal your whole life and you are always nervous to buy yourself anything that isn't an absolute necessity, or taking your friends out to eat and paying for it, or just other little things like buying a course so that you can learn how to dance, learn a new language, all of the things that you thought the money could finally buy you time or resources to do. And you're thinking that the answer to more happiness is just making more money when you have the money to do the things you originally wanted to do. Just like think about it for a second. I also struggle with this because once you get that money, you think, well, what if I don't keep making money like this? What if I don't make even more money, then it would be bad to spend money on myself because I'm not being a good steward of my money. I should be constantly reinvesting so that I can make sure that I'm not ever broke again. Because whenever you do get out of that I'm broke ping pong game where you're sometimes up, sometimes down, sometimes you don't know if you're going to pay rent, sometimes you have more than enough money. Once you finally can make money and not be stressed out, the not being stressed out doesn't come from you making more money. It comes from you accepting the fact that money is probably going to come in like waves. You know, it's going to be very fluid. It's not going to be the same check that you probably used to receive whenever you had a job. And that you are capable of managing your money so that you don't go broke again. I will tell you one thing, that making more money the ladder doesn't end. There is no top. It will always There will always be a bigger dollar amount that you're going to be chasing, and that's fine. But if you could slow down and be okay with where you're at in each segment that you find yourself in, I think you'll have a lot more of an enjoyable life, and you'll start to find value in things that money can't even really buy you. But, you know, the money does feel good. Oh, and that is my next point. The money feels good. That's it. There's no strings attached. There's nothing behind that. The money feels good. Once you start making good money, once you can finally start paying your bills without freaking out, once you know that you can be taken care of and take care of others, you can go to Whole Foods and buy the organic food that you originally convinced yourself was BS, but then you tried it and it's actually pretty good and you feel better after you eat it. Yeah, the stuff that rich people buy isn't just because they want to spend more money on stuff. It usually does have more value. And whenever you do have money, your life does get better. That's it. A lot of people like to think, they like to cope. This is what it is. It's a cope. And they probably got it from their parents where they think, oh, rich people, they have problems. Their problems are usually worse than us. And whenever you get rich, when you get more money, you get more problems, you get different problems, and it's just a different set of problems. Yeah, life is always going to have problems, sure, but to say that you're going to be suffering the same extent when you're rich as you were whenever you were poor is just completely wrong. I've been on both sides of it. I know it's wrong. And if I am wrong in that, it's because you have more internal issues that you could probably solve with money. Because if you went to a therapist and actually talked to someone about it, not just listening to YouTube videos, you would probably have someone who can fix those negative mindsets that keep you in the poverty state, even when you're making good money. That being said, if you finally do make money and you are still empty, it's probably because you don't believe in what you do. You don't have a purpose. You're not serving others. To suffer for a cause that you believe in is one of the most satisfying feelings ever, which is why entrepreneurship can be so addicting and why some people don't like entrepreneurship, because they never find something that they actually believe is worth working for. Whenever you clock into a 9 to 5 or Wendy's, or I don't think they have 9 to 5s at Wendy's, but you get the point. When you work for something that you don't really believe in, there is no satisfaction and you will feel empty, even if you are making 6 figures a year. But here's the catch. You can't just serve people unless you have a really good relationship with God and you've finally understood that life is about service and anything you do to serve others is valuable, which I am still working on. You kind of have to pick something that you truly do believe in. So whenever you feel empty, sometimes the temptation for a lot of people is to start working in a soup kitchen, and that does feel pretty good temporarily, but it misses a huge factor that humans need, and that is the build factor, the create factor. We are made in God's image, so we are created to also create and to build, and we have a need to build something, whether it is a family, whether it is a business, whatever it is, you need to build in your life, and that is a need. So whenever you are not creating something or working towards a bigger goal that not only serves you but serves others, you will feel empty because you are missing a really important piece to the puzzle. Branching off from that segment, I've heard, I think it was Alex Hormozy, which I look up to him a lot. He's a really incredible entrepreneur. You guys don't even need me to tell you that. He said something about being ruthless with your time. And that really did resonate with me because there's been so many times when I really just wish that I could grab someone and tell them, hey, what I am doing is really, really important. Please stop trying to take my time. Even if that sounds pretty cruel, It's how I feel sometimes, because whenever you are working towards a bigger thing, your priorities shift, and it's sometimes even a pain to have to explain to others why you can't do something and why the thing you are planning to do instead is way more important. It often feels selfish as well. So I'm not going to completely say that being ruthless with your time is bad. I'm completely in agreement with a lot of the points there, but you do have to take that with a grain of salt, because another trap that people fall into is that you don't have time to help people, that you don't have time to serve people. If you don't even have time to help other people, you have missed the entire point of your existence. I'm not saying that you have to constantly clean up after your roommate's mess and you have to always be working at soup kitchens and volunteering, but you have to at least be open to the fact that there are going to be times whenever you are not working towards the main goal, and that it's not a waste of time, that helping other people, that folding your brother's laundry isn't a bad thing that is wasting time. It is never a waste of time to help people. Even if they don't know that you help them, if you serve someone, it's never a waste of time. And whenever you tell yourself that it's a waste of time to serve other people, you are telling yourself that you don't have enough time, which is reinforcing the idea that you are the type of person that never has enough time for those things. So you're always going to be in this state of being stressed out, feeling like you don't have enough time, because you have this very concrete idea that you don't have time to do things that don't align with the current goal that you're chasing. You need to force yourself to be open to losing time, and then view it as not a loss of time, but rather just experiencing life the way it's supposed to be experienced, because you're not a workhorse. You're not just here to work towards some grand goal and achieve something huge. You're also here to just exist, just help people, just enjoy where you're at. That is also a part of life. And it's probably the reason you're doing all of this in the first place. The last myth I want to debunk here is that entrepreneurs are all hard workers. This could not be any further from the truth. If you actually met a lot of these entrepreneurs or rich people who make money or make money online, or they're self-employed, whatever it is, a lot of them, their daily lives are far less disciplined and far less filled with work than yours. And they're still making way more money than you. It's just because of their core beliefs. They see themselves as the type of person that can make that money. That is their reality. That is their baseline. They couldn't imagine themselves not making that much money anymore. Has nothing to do with how hard they work. A lot of these people, they sleep in, they eat like garbage, they have poor spending habits. But you know what? They know that they're rich, and that's not going to change. It's just a reflection of what's inside. So I'm not going to get super into manifestation, but to some extent, you need to understand that the energy is where everything comes from. So if you're operating from an energy that hard work is going to be linear with how much money you make, that's how it's going to look like. But whenever you compare yourself to other people and it looks like they're working harder than you or they're making more money, if that's the idea you have in your head, then whenever you have a day where you feel like you didn't work as hard as someone else might have because they have more money, so it must mean they worked harder for it, you're going to start questioning everything you're doing and wondering if it's even working. Just because you're not rich yet doesn't mean it's not working. That's it for today's video, but don't leave yet. I need you to subscribe, because I'm about to put so much wisdom on you in these next years that I'm going to be posting videos like this. Wisdom comes from life experience. So every time you watch a movie and it changes your life, that is what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to give you real life situations that I lived through so that you can take my mistakes and learn from them and become a wiser, more rational human being, because I've made a lot of irrational decisions in my life so that you don't have to. Some next videos coming up, probably going to be what it's like being a girl who always makes the first move, what it's like to learn a language in 6 months when you've been trying for 3 years, what it's like to be a twin, what it's like to try and become rich and become unemployed 3 times. Just a bunch of things that I lived through that probably would offer some insight on your own life. So subscribe. I promise it'll be worth it. Bye.